So let's talk about how the ugly guys, the ugliest guys, always have the most attractive girls. Now, like I've always said on my channel, looks plays a role, but there's something that the ugly guys do that the best looking guys always overlook, and it's building a personality. Building a personality that is so strong, right? That women can basically smell the energy around you. And it happens, it's for real. And I'm telling you how they do it, right? Because to be very honest, right? I used to be somebody who did not know I was attractive, right? I used to be that guy. Yes, I'm tall, but to be very frank, in my university days, I was that guy. I was that guy who thought it was always ugly. That's why, if you see my videos, right, back in the days, I was always frowning. Not obviously before I began to create content. I was always boning, always frowning, always that guy who was what? Ugly, never had the personality. But when I realized that these ugly guys out there are building a personality, then it made sense to me why they were attractive. Now, mind you, this video is not a video for you to what? To romanticize your ugliness. You have to work on it, right? So stay to the very end. The first reason how, the first way, the first thing that ugly guys do, right, that makes them very, very attractive and very, very good women is one, they are not needy, right? So when you're needy, you tend to want over text women, you tend to be very desperate for women. And if you've been around women, you get to realize that desperation is the thing that kills the most attraction when it comes to women, right? Because it says that if this guy is desperate to have me, what that means is there's nothing going on in his life. You begin to put her on a pedestal, and when you put a woman on a pedestal, guess what? She treats you like shit. She treats you like you're nothing. She treats you like you don't demand that respect. And when you have that neediness, again, you begin to overtext, overcall. You begin to act like she's the world evolves around her. And trust me, women know that the world does not evolve around her. You probably heard a saying that weak men chase women, right? Women chase what? Strong men. So what you should do is, as a man, right, how you can never be needy is be that guy who is always on his mission to the point where women don't really excite your life, right? As in, you'll be grateful you'll be grateful for a woman to come into your life, but you don't really need them. So what that will lead to is when you're talking to a woman, right, when you know you have like some tasks to do, you will do those tasks while she's texting you, right? You're doing your task, you're doing your job, you're doing your your day-to-day grind, and when she's texting you, you're not really bothered whether you respond immediately or not, right? Because you know that your mission, your priority comes first. And again, women kind of like that thing where you give them attention, good attention. And at some period where you know you're supposed to be busy, your energy is focused on something else. They actually like it, right? Even though they complain once in a while, that is a hoax. Never fall for that complaint, right? As a man, always be on your grind. Second thing that would make women very, very attractive to you, right? Because is having an ambition as a man. You see, now this is very, very tricky, right? Because I see too many guys, they try to brag about ambition. No, that's very childish and insecure. You see, when you have your goals you're working towards, there's a way you carry yourself that women can sense that energy, right? You're out there, you're on your grind. Once in a while, you're talking about problems you have overcome for yourself. You're telling your story. It shows that this is a person that takes himself very, very serious. Because when you're ambitious, right, you walk different, you talk different. When you're ambitious and you're steadily hitting different goals, right, whether it's physical goal, but goals with your physics, goals in your business, there's a kind of confidence, and which is something that ugly guys have more than what good-looking guys, right? God, these guys have crazy confidence. Have you noticed? This little dog, I think they call Chihuahua, how loud those dogs are, how confident those dogs are, forgetting that those dogs are so tiny they can get crushed by a 10-year-old boy. So like that kind of confidence is the kind of confidence that ugly guys have, right? But again, I'm somebody who preaches about delusional confidence, right? But to an extent, you have to be working on yourself to be confident. So I want your confidence to come from your ambition that yes, you can get almost anything done, right? Because to be very, very frank, that mindset alone, which I should have always started, because if you think about it, right, mindset is always the first thing people should start with. But when you have that ambition, right, it's magnetic. Like I've said, the key thing here is have the ambition, have goals you're striving towards, but never brag about them. Because bragging about them makes you feel insecure, right? Makes you feel like You are trying to do a lot to impress them, which comes back to that needy behavior. By the way, that needy behavior, right? Something that I used to have in my university days that was completely killing the attraction. So trust me, I have been there. I've been there when those lies in your head tell you that, oh, you have to be this dude that does too much for this lady, give her all of the attention, be that nice guy. It's like, no, bruv. The more you're on your purpose, I noticed that the more I have goals I'm taking, whether it's going to the gym, having a routine, just the more that she sees that seriousness, that structure in my life, kind of like the more she wants to be part of that structure. And trust me, like I've said, again, you're doing it for you, right? Because I also see some other guys who will be on their self-improvement, their grinding, then all of a sudden, a woman comes into the equation, and before you know it, they're completely distracted. That should never be you, my friend. But now the third thing that ugly guys do, which I've already mentioned, is confidence, right? But something deeper than confidence is called aura, right? I don't know. I think, to be very frank, this word called aura has been, I would say, has been heavily misused, right? When you say aura, what's aura? Aura is this. Because you are having an aura, you have this masculine drive, you have this masculine essence that people can't really understand. What does it come from? Your ambition, right? Your ambition, plus, hear me out, your ability to not need people in your life, right? And a very nice personality, right? I'll talk about personality. Obviously, if you follow this video, you get to build a personality that's kind of authentic to you. Again, a sidetrack is I keep emphasizing on personality because when you build this personality as a man, guess what happens? Automatically you stand out from other men. Automatically you stand out, you're different. I've ever heard a saying that, if I've probably heard girls say it, even in the movies, because if you're ugly, right, you probably don't have girls coming your way, right? But in the movies, you hear something like, there's something different about him. That is aura. That's when she feels like this guy is masculine, is on his grind, and he just does things in a way that is different from other guys. That is aura speaking there. So how do you develop aura? Again, it's your ambition, it's your confidence, right? It's your confidence knowing fully well that you are working towards something, that you're on your mission, right? A typical example is James Bond, right? Look at the most masculine guys. Look at, what's his name? Someone came to my head right now. This guy from Pinky Blinders. I can't remember his name right now. You see that guy he's very chilled, right? He walks different. So if you want to build aura, apart from the whole aesthetics, the whole shallow advice, right? Learn to build that crazy mindset, right? Learn to be present, to be precise, right? I think aura also has to do with presence, right? If you're present when you're talking to women, because most guys are out there, most guys are overthinking shit, right? If you're overthinking shit, automatically you're telling the woman that you lack the confidence. But when you are there, you are grounded. So what should you do if you want to build that aura that will help you stay grounded is learn to meditate, right? When you meditate, it keeps you in that mood, in that energy when you're talking to them. And trust me, women smell energy more than looks, right? You can be the best looking guy, right? But if you lack that energy, trust me, she's walking away. She might give you a second chance, right? But she's walking away. But if you just have like a decent look, right? Right? You look okay, and you have that very strong energy, right? Take it from me, it hits different. There's a reason why I really don't want to go deep into the aspect of dark psychology because for the sake of this video. I really don't want guys like exploring that yet. This video is not about dark psychology, but the guys that have this dark psychology, they also have this aura, this mystery about them, right? Something that is just different. So as a guy, what should you do? Like I've said, learn meditation, be ambitious, right? Again, when you are ambitious, you tend to want to read books, read information that would help you in things like selling. Because trust me, people wonder, okay, what's so good about getting girls, right? Because when you get girls, trust me, it becomes easier to sell. And from my story, you probably heard that at some point I was selling in the family business, right? So that itself helps my game like crazy, right? So if you're somebody who wants to be like, you know what, you want to make money, at the same time, be with girls, learning how to sell will be one of your greatest edge. Even learning how to create content, because you will learn how to be grounded, you will learn how to express yourself more, right? The fourth thing that ugly guys do is they are interesting, right? They're not so boring. And if you look at your life, right, ask yourself, are you interesting? Right? By the way, by being interesting does not mean that you are the guy who's going to the club every Friday night, you are always boring. Being boring is you have no taste to you, right? If you're talking to a girl, right, and you have to filter your words before they come out of your mouth. Automatically, you come off as boring, right? When you're talking to a woman and you don't come off as being confident, you don't come off as being masculine, automatically you become boring as a man, right? So next time you're talking to a woman, right? Again, what keeps you boring is having a very, 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 very fixed routine where you don't even joke about life. You take life too serious, right? So how else can you be bored? How else are you boring? You're probably just always in your house, staying indoors, or maybe house to work, that's all, right? You have no hobbies, you have no stories to tell, you basically have no opinions of your own, right? So as a man, what should you do in a situation where you do realize that you need to be interesting? Bro, start with having stories to tell. And how do you have stories to tell? Start by fixing problems in your life. It's that simple. You see, guys, we like to overcomplicate shit, right? Being interesting, have stories. One, do interesting shit, right? Have stories that are very, very obviously give you stories that are very compelling. Have hobbies, right? Don't just be that guy who what do you call it? Don't be that guy who has nothing going on in his life. Again, ambition to an extent makes you interesting, right? But if you're the guy who is always featuring your words, automatically become boring. Then you become interesting, get with your hobbies. Have hobbies. Go for swimming, join martial arts, even have brotherhood, because a brotherhood, right, will basically bring up all these spontaneous activities. Speaking of being boring, just learn to be spontaneous once in a while, right? You guys can be together and just be like, fuck it, let's do this. Something different, right? Even if it comes to like the bedroom. Just being spontaneous, switching things up gives you an edge over other men, right? Again, like I've said, if you know you're ugly, if you know you don't have the good looks, being interesting, right, will keep more girls in your life. And speaking of keeping more girls in your life, you see, when you're ugly, all it takes is for you to get one very, very attractive girl. I can guarantee you, when you get one attractive girl, getting the remaining attractive girls becomes effortless because, one, attractive girls know other attractive girls. And even if they don't know them, the fact that you have one beside you, the moment another attractive girl sees you with that one, trust me, they begin to wonder, who is this guy? What did he do to bag this girl? And trust me, when they begin to see that you have a great personality, because like I've said, the best looking guys they have shitty personalities, right? And your personality should be your edge. The last thing I'll talk about, which you may not want to hear, is you might be ugly at the same fucking time. You can do something about your looks, right? The basics you can do is go to the gym. You see, speaking of looks, right? I used to be somebody who downplayed looks, right? But until I realized that, bruv, for me, right, just doing the basics was almost quite enough, right? What I mean basics now, for context, what I mean basic is going to the gym 6 times a week. Is that basic? Sorry, it's like, that's not basic, but for you, fucking live to it, right? Wear fitted clothes, right? That'll help you more. By the way, I see too many guys trying to spend money on expensive clothes in a way of feeling good about themselves. Let me tell you something. That is cliche as fuck. It does not really work. And to prove to you that it doesn't work, I'll tell you this. I would wear a very, very cheap black shirt that fits me. I can guarantee you that I will still look better than the ugly dude who doesn't go to the gym and still wears the most expensive clothes. So, bro, you don't have to buy the latest designers. If you have a very good frame, a very good body, almost anything will fit you already, right? Almost anything will fit you. So, learn basic grooming. Cut your hair twice. This is like common sense. Like shower a lot. Cut your hair frequently, right? As frequent as possible. Cut your hair frequently. For me, just like what I rub like basic oil in my body. I don't do extensive skincare routine, right? So what else? That's just basically right. So obviously, when I say basic routine, I don't mean that you just do your basic, have your baba. That no, be very intentional about your grooming, right? Because the only reason you not groom is because you're lazy. So that itself should not be your excuse. So as a man, remember that if you are ugly, right, your best bet is for you to maximize your personality. Hear me very well, and stay disciplined on your looks. When you say discipline, go to the gym, wear fitting clothes, cut your hair frequently, have a nice perfume, and trust me, you will get more girls, right, that will stay. The keyword that will stay in your life than the guy who just only relies on looks, because there are too many guys who rely on looks and they don't get girls, right? I remind you, as a big reminder, for some weird reasons, the ugly guys always tend to have the best girls. So my name is Tony Raya. one thing you get to realize is, in this video, I told you to build a personality. And building a personality is a life hack because not just women, it helps you in business, in sales, in creating content, in achieving your goals. And by the way, it also helps you to become this well-rounded man that we preach about on this channel. If you like what you're hearing, feel free to like and subscribe to this video. Talk to you soon, and bye for now.